off to the space race in a new series over on Disney Plus, The Right Stuff. The 6th episode is now up and I just watched it, so stick with me and I'll break it down after the intro. Well, hello there. My name's Jeremy and welcome back to Freeform Disney, where I talk about all aspects of Disney, from the animated movies to the theme parks to Star Wars, Marvel, and Pixar, and the TV shows, and everything else in between. And that is why it's Freeform. And keep coming back every day for new daily content. If you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Today we're once again looking at Disney's The Right Stuff, or Nat Geo's, depending on which way you want to look at it. At any rate, the story of the Mercury 7 astronauts. The 6th episode is called Vostok. And hey, without any further time to waste, let's jump right on in. So here's what went down. We pop in and we see our 3 astronauts, the first ones that'll go up into space, all talking in the hallway. And Gus is just talking, feeling some silence while nervous. Which, by the way, it's nice to actually see Gus getting a bit more of a highlight now that we've announced him to be the second in line. I appreciate seeing a little more than just the 3 we've been focusing on normally. And yeah, so they made their public reveal, although not what the order is, but hey, you all know who the first 3 are going to be. Oh, and then we start what is going to be clearly a through line for this episode, because Wainwright and John Glenn are off in a car talking, and, well, we get this little, hey, if it's you, I'd push them to make the order public until it's public. They can still change their minds. Yeah. Can't see where that's going. I admit, a little heavy-handed right there, but it sets up the plot of the episode pretty well, or at least one of the plots, I should say. Well, and then another nice piece, we head over to the bar, and we actually get to focus a little more on the other 4, although Gordo's one of them, so one of our main characters in there. But we do get to see a little more of them in there, just as they're trying to kind of boost their own spirits. By drinking lots of spirits? See what I did there? Well, anyway, point being, having not been picked as the first 3, that's tough. And we do get this nice flashback section with Gordo with all the broken glass and having then cut his hand, because it's a nice callback to episode 1 where his test pilot friend ended up dying after he had cut his hand that morning. So we seem to be tying in some of the earlier episodes and making references back now that we have enough to call on, and I appreciate that too. Well, anyway, it is on to PSAC, so the Presidential Scientific Advisory Committee, because they want to go ahead and do a whole bunch more tests and studies, given JFK's potential issues with the program, being that he inherited from Eisenhower, and, well, change of administration here can be really messy on programs in NASA. I mean, it can be messy outside of NASA too, but oh man, the historic issue of NASA programs as they get switched. Hey, look, new administration. Let's scrap that one. Let's put in a new space program. Scrap that one. Let's put in another new one. Oh, it is a pain for somebody who likes space and watching things to see it keep switching, because so much work gets essentially thrown out every time that happens. Oh, anyway. Yeah. Well, anyway, to put on a good show for these new people, we're over at the hotel and we're going to have our 3 first astronauts all march out in their spacesuits and go do a test for them. And by the way, that moment seeing them walk out in those iconic spacesuits, oh, that was cool. Loved that moment right there. And they played knowing that it was one of those iconic kind of moments. Slowed it down for us a little and all. Oh yeah, it was good. Well, anyway, we get to give a water landing example in the pool at the hotel with the capsule. And that was fun. And there was actually a little stress and concern because Alan Shepard was in the capsule and he was having some of those hearing problems of his again. But it's really more than hearing problems, and eventually he will get diagnosed with it. Intriguingly, as far as we know from the actual history, he did have some problems, and then there were no more problems noted till after he went up in space. Now, whether that was just hidden or not, who the heck knows for sure. But you could certainly make this kind of a piece, and at the very least it's drama, and maybe there's accuracy to it, but you certainly would never know for sure. Anyway, he pulled it off. A bit slower than hoped, but definitely pulled it off. Now we move on to this really intriguing piece. We're over with John Glenn and Annie, And John Glenn's off typing in the bathtub in the middle of the night so as to not bother her. And there might be more to it than that, because John Glenn's up typing up letters he's going to send off, because he's really got the issue with Al Shepard, and that's that bug was planted in him earlier. And there's an argument between the two of them. These two who we usually see getting along so well, it's like, oof. Now as John's going, Al Shepard doesn't deserve this, all right? He's selfish, can't be trusted. People need to know that, etc. And Annie actually has a bit more of a level head going on here. They ought to know now, of all times, when the program is in real trouble? Yeah. Oh, what a mess between the two of them right here. Oh, man. Yeah, they have a good old size argument on this one and do not exactly go to bed happy, let's put it that way. I've got to say, I'm on Team Annie here on this one. When it comes to the fight the other day, I tend to side more with John Glenn, when it comes to the other astronauts. Although John Glenn can be overbearing and a little full of himself sometimes, yes, definitely. But he certainly seems to have a little bit more of the right priorities sometimes, I think, than the other astronauts. But in this case, with Annie, I'm definitely on her side here. Well, we jump on off and over to Gordo this time. So we actually get to see his daughter calling him, and again, back to referencing previous episodes. So she tells him about how she ran her bike into a car with her eyes closed, and how she's worried something is wrong with her because, well, Trudy, her mother, told her she had a screw loose to do that. And, well, Gordo's got this response of, hey, you've got a couple nuts for parents, so hey, it's all okay. And it was a nice call, really. Nice to see that side. And also interesting that Trudy was listening in, who smiled at the end. That was just a nice little family moment between the three, and it was a relatively short section, but I liked that one. Okay, then we move off to what was actually originally the title of the episode, because originally it was announced that the title of the episode was Ham, not that it was actually announced as Vostok that it is now. Now, Ham is a chimpanzee, famous chimpanzee. Yes, he's real and historical. So he's going to be the first American to go into space. Now, as far as the episode's concerned, we use this as a reason that's going to delay Alan Shepard going up. Well, it might not quite match history. There's a different reason for that, but still, a nice piece here too. And we also get to really watch this because we get to head in and watch from the NASA side of things on the whole launch. And I really like that. If you've heard me talking about these before, you know I love seeing the NASA side of things a lot more, rather than just all the personal drama that we've made up during the show. And hey, we even saw, I think it was Gus was over there too, so that was cool. And we got to see the problems with the launch because it was aborted earlier than they wanted to. And, oh, I mean, Bob took that really hard right there, Bob Gilruth. And we got a nice moment there when Chris Kraft headed out and broke the news to Bob that, guess what? The capsule was recovered and Ham was alive. And man, this is probably the happiest you have seen Bob Gilruth in the entire course of the show. And the actor's been doing a great job with him right there. Intriguingly, you'll also see the angriest you've seen him in the entire show later in this one. It's just been a really big Bob Gilruth episode relative to the other ones. I mean, he's always got a presence in him, but dang, in this one. Yeah. But first, before we get to that angry moment, which will come a little bit later, we've got a big drama in a conference room because all those advisors are there. And also, new NASA Administrator James E. Webb is in there. I'm thinking the way they're setting him up, he has been made the administrator already? Hard to say because the timing of that launch is before he became administrator. So I'm not sure exactly whether he's meant to be the administrator at this point or whether he's in there just as another person checking out the program. Anyway, at any rate, cool to see him popping in here too. And Bob Gilruth has this beautiful big speech about the intrepid spirit and pushing onward despite the dangers of the program, etc., etc. Really nice speech, well delivered. And we get to this big celebration because, of course, the committee ended up deciding to continue the program. Surprise, surprise. We all kind of knew that. But then we set up one more piece of drama because Werner von Braun comes over to a few of our astronauts and tells them that there's something in a medical file and that the only issue they had was with one of the astronauts there. And also that this is going to change the flight order. Hello. And man, Alan is on a war path now. So we get to see a bit of a fight between him and the nurse that we've gotten to know as well as we have. A little bit, anyway. Because he thinks, of course, she must have said something. But as she says, she knows nothing because he tells her nothing. Yeah, as we've seen, frankly. And she really does not take this laying down. She comes right back at him full, both barrels going. Talking about how he's smiling Alan, and then he's this, and yeah. And then Alan's all, I do want people to like me. Of course I do. Why do you think I want to be the first man in space? And we let that moment hang for a bit, and I love that right there. The whole, you want to be the first man in space to make people like you. Interesting. I love that play for the character, and that definitely could fit the Alan Shepard we've seen. It's really nice, actually. Good character moment. Nice section. Well, and then let's move back to John Glenn for one last time here. So John Glenn heads on home for his and Annie's anniversary, got his gift there, and, well, Bob Gilruth is there. And you can tell Annie is not happy. She hasn't exactly been happy throughout this episode, considering what John's been doing. Well, Bob's got 6 of those letters John Glenn's been sending out attacking Alan's character, because people went ahead and forwarded them over to Bob. And, oh man, is he not happy. As Bob Gilruth says, Manned Spaceflight Program is hanging by a thread, and you are doing this. John's all, self-important and indignant, I saved the program, Shepard is unfit to serve. Although, as Bob says, John, right now you're the one who seems unfit. And he lays down the law that this ends here, and just how bad this could be. After all, if Jerome got wind of this, then that could end the whole bloody program, and who knows what would come out of that mess. So, yeah, and man, how pissed off he was there. We have never seen Bob Gilruth that pissed off. He usually is so calm and collected. In this episode, I mean, we saw him so happy and now so pissed off here. It's intriguing to see these other sides of him. And again, the actor, great job. And by the way, I kind of agree with Bob Gilruth here. It's like, dying. What the hell are you doing, John? And by the way, things between Annie and John don't exactly get better before the end of this show. So we're clearly going to go ahead and see some more next episode. Because obviously they're going to get past this. They have a long relationship to go. So what about that medical file thing, and who is it really about? Because we set up this whole thing with Alan marching off to Chris Kraft as if they're both going to meet each other. And trust me, this is one of those cliche setups that you've seen in a bunch of shows. So if you're used to seeing this, you know that it ain't actually Alan who's going to end up in that room with Chris Kraft. And no, it's Deke. So Deke meets with him here. And, the acting in this piece from both of the two of them. This is probably my favorite scene in the episode. And, there were some good scenes in here this time. But, Chris Kraft, such a great job. And Deke with what he has to play with. Because what it is that Deke has arrhythmia. And he actually was cleared for flight, knowing the arrhythmia existed. But now the government officials think he is too risky. And, you just see how emotional Deke gets, and Chris Kraft having to break it, while Chris Kraft also really respects him and thinks he was the best pilot, but yet that this is the right decision. And, watching that on Deke's face, it is a soul-crushing scene to watch this one. Oh, man. Yeah, that one got to me. That was painful. And historically, for what it's worth, the timing may be slightly different, but essentially, yes, this did happen with Deke. He was cleared for flight and then got grounded for the same arrhythmia. So, yeah. For quite a while he got grounded. Anyway. Well, we do one last thing, because remember we did change the name of the episode to Vostok? Which, if you know what that means, if you know your space program and space race well enough, you might remember what Vostok is. A little famous. Well, anyway, Vostok was the Russian mission that first sent a man into space. So in other words, that's the one that sent Yuri Gagarin up into space. So at the very end, we see Shorty get a call in the middle of the night, and then we actually get to go ahead and see a bit of the reaction on Gus, and then we end on Alan's reaction to all of this. Yeah, things are getting a little heavier right here. So that's the episode right there, and I really enjoyed this one. Dang. Compared to where I was having some issues earlier on in the show, we are way past that now. And this one feels like, we're really starting to get closer to really the big stuff in NASA and the missions. And this episode especially, I think it was the one that most heavily featured that side of the show. And Chris Kraft and Bob Gilruth, they are both great characters as well and well acted, so they really hold up that side when we're looking at it. And also, all the surrounding characters in NASA are well done. So I'm really enjoying seeing more NASA here and more of a focus that way and more of the character drama coming from the NASA side for that matter. Oh, now one major historical difference I think I'll go ahead and note here is the drama surrounding John Glenn and Alan Shepard. In the actual history, it appears that John Glenn did write a letter, yes, but only one, and he actually gave it directly to Bob Gilruth, not out to a whole bunch of other people, and then nothing more really came of it actually. Although it was a really strongly worded letter because he really was feeling really strongly about it, just like we're seeing here. But that said, the drama in the show is certainly well created, and it does stem from John Glenn's real issues with Alan Shepard, and frankly, it may be different than the actual history, but I like it. I think it worked well. So I'm not complaining about those differences, I just think it's interesting to note them sometimes. And hey, when it comes down to it, maybe when the season's over, I think it would be interesting to talk about all the differences between the show and what we do know of the true history. Or heck, maybe even just the highlights because there are a lot of differences. So maybe when it's over, I'll go ahead and find time to do a Disney Transformed video. That could be fun right there. And hey, next week is the penultimate episode already, second to last. Well, for season 1, because we know they have plans for where the show goes from here, and I'm hoping they get to go with those plans. But anyway, next week we get to see things heating up even more between Alan Shepard and John Glenn. And the fight to catch up to the Russians is definitely getting more urgent. And we do see a little that apparently we're going to have a little with Alan Shepard and his wife, Louise, about his indiscretion, shall we say. So, yeah, looking forward to that right there. That Alan and John Glenn drama has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it is pushing to its climax. And especially after what John just did this episode, that's going to go ahead and be part of what really, really brings things to a head between the two. Anyway, well, what about you? Did you enjoy a slightly more NASA-focused episode? And are you looking forward to the penultimate episode next week? Let me know down below in the comments. And thanks so much for watching. If you like the video, please give it a like, a share, and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps out. I'll see you back here tomorrow for another new episode of Freeform Disney. Have a magical day, and may the Force be with you always.